Geopolitical tensions appeared to break this week. Following a ceasefire in Lebanon, Iran officially declared the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical energy artery, completely open to commercial shipping. This chart tracks the immediate global reaction. As news of the reopening spread, Brent crude oil prices dropped by 10%, while international stock markets rallied on the prospect of stable energy routes. Donald Trump publicly endorsed the development on social media, declaring the strait ready for business and cleared for full passage. On the surface, the Middle East crisis seems to have reached a definitive cooling point, providing the public with a sense of economic and diplomatic relief. However, Trump accompanied his celebration with a specific condition. The U.S. naval blockade will remain in full force until a final deal with Tehran is finalized. This current window of trade is also tied to a hard expiration date. The ceasefire is currently scheduled to end on April 22nd. As that deadline approaches, the quiet in the strait reflects a temporary state of play, with both nations maintaining their military and economic positions. The United States is utilizing this temporary pause to safely move massive naval and ground assets into the theater. This map shows the path of the USS George H.W. Bush. Instead of the standard 8,000-mile Red Sea route, it executes a 15,000 nautical mile detour around Afric Point, a high-risk zone where Houthi forces concentrate attacks on shipping. This detour is timed with surgical precision. Based on its current speed, the nuclear-powered supercarrier will arrive in the Arabian Sea exactly when the April 22nd ceasefire expires. Simultaneously, dozens of C-17 and C-5 transport planes are flooding West Asian airbases, delivering a massive influx of 60,000 U.S. troops. These maneuvers indicate the U.S. is strategically staging overwhelming firepower, ensuring its military is in position for a potential multi-front conflict if the April 22nd deadline passes without a deal. Iran's decision to allow free passage through the strait follows its own strategic and mechanical requirements. Maintaining active oil wells requires precise management of internal reservoir pressure. Halting production abruptly destabilizes this pressure, causing permanent damage to the underground infrastructure. Tehran is working to avoid the catastrophic mistakes made in Venezuela, where mismanaged pressure destroyed a significant portion of the country's oil-producing capacity. Reopening the strait invites a flood of over 120 commercial vessels into the channel daily. This massive volume of civilian traffic generates significant maritime noise. Tehran uses this congestion to shield its shadow tankers. These vessels blend into the international fleet to mix and export sanctioned crude oil, bypassing the American blockade. Through this reopening, Iran keeps its wells operational and its war chest funded, leveraging the civilian fleet as a shield for its continued oil exports. High-stakes negotiations in Islamabad are currently centered on Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium, frequently referred to in these sessions as nuclear dust. The American offer involves releasing $20 billion in frozen Iranian funds, but only if Tehran agrees to a full surrender of this nuclear material. Iran's reluctance is rooted in the 1995 precedent involving Ukraine, which surrendered its nuclear arsenal for security guarantees, only to be invaded years later. Fear of a future invasion keeps Iran tied to its nuclear deterrent, while the U.S. remains unwilling to release $20 billion to an adversary that has not yet disarmed. This standoff is causing significant friction within the global community. Donald Trump has publicly distanced the U.S. from NATO allies, telling them to stay away from the negotiation process. In response, France and the UK are leading a 40-country coalition to secure the strait independently, moving forward without American coordination. The stakes for neutral nations are evidenced by this chart. India relies on the Hormuz route for 30% of its crude oil, 50% natural gas, and 60% LPG. Despite this heavy dependence, New Delhi refused to mediate. Regional tension is also mounting. Israel opposes the release of the $20 billion, arguing the funds will finance future attacks against them. Every military deployment and diplomatic meeting is racing towards the April 22nd deadline. The current silence reflects a state of total preparation. If negotiations fail before the timer runs out, the world's most critical energy channel could become the center of an unprecedented global clash.